Ooh, well, hello everybody. This is a Friday stream here. Normally I would have my biology class today, but since the professor actually announced that we're not having one today, I came home rather early. So, really do hope everybody's enjoying their Friday here so far. I have to paint some cars here for a lot of drivers, and they're due later on today, I believe at 11:59. So, I have a lot of time in my hands, and I need to change that title to an October painting session there, so let me edit that. And here we go. Looks like I've got that in there. Just want to get it set up. I gotta render some cars here, so that'll be nice and dandy for those that are watching this stream. So really do hope y'all are, like I said, having a good time. I gotta save these images actually. Make sure the dimensions are right. That'll make my life easier. And then we're gonna open 3ds Max up. Let's get to it. So I'm gonna wait a bit here. During that time, I bet you by the time I start actually working on this, I actually gotta work on a Bass Pro Shop scheme. So we should probably cut to the chase here. We're gonna look at this, focus on the rear end. Yeah, you see it's starting up. Watch, it's gonna interrupt me right as I get started. So let's actually get this. Let me minimize that. There's 3ds Max open. Let's get that done with actually first. Might be easier. Luckily, they're both on a Toyota, so that's gonna save me some time and effort here. Let's show in the folder. Okay. Let's get to re-import that in there. Boom. I think the side skirts are already, not the side skirts, but the rails are already like that. Luckily, this render doesn't take as long as normally other ones do, so. Just got rooster teeth on there. It's a simple scheme. Alright, got that one down there, so I just kept that down. I don't know, should I keep that up or down? I'm actually gonna keep it up. I actually kind of like it just up. Look, this one is pretty easy on the program because it won't be as bad. And so let me close this thing. There we go. But otherwise, it's a relatively easy scheme there. So now we could save it. Let's get that other one in. Check. Side skirts are actually purple. This one. Oh. We got those two taken care of. Now it's time to work on the base itself. So we're going to minimize everything else. And we're not really going to need these anymore. So now what we got? A bit big. 15 sounds actually reasonable. Yeah, that sounds about right though. It does sound about right. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. And then I think that looks good enough. It's a bit big, but I think it looks fine. Sizing wise, it looks good. So let's focus on the paint bucket tool. Actually, make sure we got our pattern in. Just a solid, I think, camo would be a good one. And then here we go. Kind of mirror what the first things first, let's save this image. We definitely want to save our progress as we go. So we have a good old time for ZBBPS shitpost. That's the league name. It's called the NASCAR shitposting series. Might as well eat some gum as we go. So that's not what I want. Ah, shoot. I should pin this to the taskbar. There we go. Up the taste of gum. I'm having good mint gum. See, now this is gonna look a bit awkward with that camo at the back end because it's gonna have to flow a bit better. Now we're gonna nudge this thing down, nudge this little silly thing down. If I had better, I think, computer equipment, because my headphone jack's actually kind of broken, so unfortunately on the computer, so I have to find a way, like I have to get one of those USB adapters sooner or later, so it would help me a bit later on in terms of consistency. and that y'all can hear actual music while I'm doing this, but I'm not. It's like listening to a Bob Ross session, but I'm no ASMR person, so that's tragic. Always autosave, always save it as you go, Control S there. I think it's the same thing for functionalities in Photoshop. See, now nobody will notice the, it will flow a bit weird on this, but because it's just, when you look at the chase cam, right over here, it's just there. You don't really, it's just kind of a minuscule detail that you'll notice. So pretty much, I think the base, well, besides I gotta get that roof area done actually, let's get that. Let's take care of that. I always hated doing that. I think this mod is the only thing that's also flawed is it's how asymmetric it's gonna be. Meaning that it's not gonna be the most matched up in terms of symmetry. I think that's something that really made me a bit mad, was that. See, I'm gonna have to worry about. I get this black half done. Match that up. I'll get this other part of the black. Oh. Because I want to get those roof rails consistent. Somewhat. I always hated doing that, so. There we go. We're gonna now export it. We're gonna see how this goes. It's gonna turn out to be an absolute shit fest there, and well, it's alright. That's how it works. You see, it's kind of protruding. It's kind of curved. I can't say protruding. I don't know my vocabulary terms well, but it's a bit curved right over here in this area, which I don't like about it. Alright, so that's going to be something. So we got the base pretty much done. I just got to really mirror it on the other side. Also, I actually need to start working on the hood. So that's something I need to do right now. I'm going to do that right now. Let's make sure we're going to look a bit the hood details there. Check the wireframe. So it starts around that area, this white line. I only did that to mirror it for the iron mesh, the at most, I need to really just get rid of that excess black right around the headlights area, so otherwise it'll be pretty much set for the car itself. Actually, it might look fine the way it is. So I think it looks actually pretty solid there. Yeah, at most I just need to actually make a rectangular select right around this area, but either way, it's not that hard of a paint scheme. You don't really need to make it more complicated than it needs to be. So we're gonna make it around this area. I think we're pretty much set to go. Now we can just mirror it. It's a simple scheme though. Maybe move this up a bit. Now in splitter, we're gonna keep it probably just the orange as well, for consistency as well. Roof rails, not gonna worry about that too much. Splitter rear, nope. Splitter bottom, splitter top, and then the splitter edges we're gonna look at, and then save. So that's the base so far. It's a bit sloppy. I would consider it kind of a sloppy base. It's not a good one. So now it's time to mirror the car, and I think we're pretty much set, because when you look at the back end, it doesn't really match up. We also have to get this rear end of the car to also match as well, so let's do that. Get that. Yeah, there we go. It's not gonna really matter. Nobody really cares about how it matches up near the end. Camels don't really have a continuity though. When I think about it, I don't really think it. It's just kind of there. Yes, there we go. I really am lazy with most things because I already have most of the config set. That and I've already gotten most of the stuff already in there, so. I'm not gonna use that one. I should have used the Exalta scheme as a guide for my B pillars and for everything. I could simply use a blackout as well for the just to make the contigs easier, or the B pillars easier. I don't really need the Bass Pro logo there. I could use the Napple one. It's just like if you have the same driver that's you're painting for, you might as well keep the associates kind of consistent. So I don't really need that Bass Pro Shops logo though, because we already have it on the car itself. It's the main sponsor. I could keep Nationwide on there just fine. Be the match. Just gonna invert those to white. Oh wait. The only thing that stinks, like I said, about this template is it's just like, you notice over here, it's a bit bigger than this one right down here, but at the end it looks the same. I feel like it's just lined up differently. That's just me though, because you notice also when I have to move the Exalt logo a bit up downwards. Well, this one is just like, you could just keep it the way it is, because it's just fine. There's enough space for that logo itself. So that's what only puzzles me, is just how asymmetrical this template is. I like the mod itself. The models are amazing, but it's just, it doesn't feel geometrically correct. But otherwise, it's just a minor thing. Nobody will really notice that on the car itself. Don't know what I'm gonna put in that one. I might put like maybe safety clean or. Might just put safety clean on it. Safety clean might what I might do. I have other paint requests I have to do though, but some other time I could. Just not at the moment. I want to take care of other designs first. Not saying yours is insignificant. It's just there's others that I have to prioritize, as well as like I have homework and stuff. But I've already worked on my homework, so I'm just trying to just get some of these done. So yeah, pretty much. Really just trying to get rid of the associates, just get those done with ahead of time, so I don't it saves me more time, and it saves so I can render this car later. I'm not really worried about So normally I'm just kind of this quiet. I guess what happens when you're concentrated in the painting is just you're into it. And you just want to. It just lets it. You let it flow in a way, to say the least. And well, certainly indeed so. That's certainly proving the point for me, I guess, to say the least. Yeah, I guess we could. The number's way too big. What the hell am I doing? I mean, I gotta paint a crap ton of shit posting cards for people today, and I still have to do my own. So, yeah, I still got quite a bit of work to do, and also have homework that's due today. But it won't take that long. It's just homework. I can deal with that shadow. That's not a big deal. It's a minuscule detail. I don't think I've eaten lunch yet. No, I haven't. I've eaten breakfast. I kind of ate breakfast a bit late today. Negative 3 points. No, that's too much. Let's try -0.264. That might be reasonable. It's perfect. I don't mind talking. It's just I'm usually quiet when I do this. Sometimes I just talk to myself, or not really talk to myself. I'm just normally quiet. Yeah, this is for Zach, so I gotta finish this one up. I do need to get myself some lunch though. But I want to finish this car first before I actually... I think it's supposed to be spaced out, which is really awkward from the car. I have to remember that. Let me check the... It's an awkward one. So I'm pretty much, yeah, getting that 4 there. Let's make that slightly bigger. Yeah, because it's due at 11:59 Eastern time, and that's probably by the time IRL ends, realistically knowing how much Gateway could be a wreck fest. And for me it is, because I have to admin, so that's going to be a bit of a hassle. I've been busy. That's why I haven't been able to paint. In reality, I've been just lazy. But I've been on a bit of a paint streak, I guess, to say the least, because I've just been back on a... Number feels a bit too big. I want to know the scaling. I made this one. 18. 259, 215. I want to keep that consistent. That's reasonable, actually. Let's see. I want to see those dimensions, because it makes that number look a lot smaller, but reasonably sized. Yep, that does look right. Yeah, I'm gonna go get some lunch, Rick, so I'm gonna take this as a good opportunity to get it. But I pretty much have the base done. At most, I just gotta put a roof number on here, the back end logo, and the roof and a number right there, and then I can render this baby, and I'm done. For Zach's schemes, then I can do my own. And then I gotta do Spencer's schemes, Natan's, and Natan, and then my own. So, and then I gotta finish up the DW12 car, so, yeah. Yeah, I'll be back, Rick. Before this, actually, I do want to let me open up a race for y'all in the window. So right now I'm gonna put it down to my image. So I'm gonna get that set up for y'all so y'all can watch race while I'm gonna be eating for some stuff, some fun things. Let's see. It's a browser source. There we go. Let's find a good YouTube. Let's see.
Kansas Speedway, where race 4 of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup ready to go. Our telecast today presented by Dodge Durango. And after the opening 3 races of the chase, the top 3 have really set the bar high in terms of results, with Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch separating themselves from the rest of the pack. Folks like Dale Earnhardt Jr. are going to have to start making some noise and then get a little help if they're going to get back into this conversation for the championship. Maybe today's the day. Junior's our ESPN in-race reporter, and he lines up 6th.
Hey, Junior, Dale Jarrett, you have a second to talk as you get that engine warmed up on this cool day?
Yes, sir.
Junior, our first question comes from our mailbag, and Cody in Boonville, Mississippi asks, being 10th in points, what is your attitude going into today's race, and how do you plan to...
I remember I could access that a while back, and it just wouldn't let me. So that's
Kansas Speedway, where race 4 of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup ready to go. Our telecast today presented by Dodge Durango. And after the opening 3 races of the chase, the top 3 have really set the bar high in terms of results, with Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch separating themselves from the rest of the pack. Folks like Dale Earnhardt Jr. are going to have to start making some noise and then get a little help if they're going to get back into this conversation for the championship. Maybe today's the day. Junior's our ESPN in-race reporter, and he lines up 6th.
Hey, Junior, Dale Jarrett, you have a second to talk as you get that engine warmed up on this cool day?
Yes, sir.
Junior, our first question comes from our mailbag, and Cody in Boonville, Mississippi asks, being 10th in points, what is your attitude going into today's race, and how do you plan to approach the remaining chase races to get yourself back in championship contention?
Well, we just get to, take a lot more risks being that we dug ourselves a hole in Chicago, so we can kind of go for it, throw it all out there, try some different strategy on pit road, to see how it all works out. Last 2 weeks we didn't really need to. We just had fast cars, so hopefully we got another good car today.
Junior, we've already seen a lot of action at this racetrack. We know with the smooth surface, but not a lot of grip there, and with this new tire and now cold temperatures. How aggressive can you be with this race car today, especially on these restarts where we've seen everybody be pretty aggressive so far this year?
I think you'll just, everybody's going to be real careful this first start, I know, but you'll just work your way up to it. You just get braver and braver each time. And as the track, as we run on the track, the grip will get better, and the heat will get into the surface, and it'll get a lot more stable. But it's going to be pretty hairy, I think, this first restart.
All right, man, you take care. Have a great day. We'll look forward to talking to you later on. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Steve Letarte.
Hey, Steve, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us, too?
Yeah, I got you good, Andy.
Hey, Steve, following up a little bit on what they're talking about there and how tricky this racetrack's been, what can you do with the race car to try to help that, to where he can be aggressive with it?
Well, Andy, I think that's going to be the key to the day. The balance of the race car, it's easier to drive when it's a little bit tight, it's a little bit snug, it's more comfortable, but that sometimes can affect the speed. So I think you need to start good and comfortable, kind of let the track come in, let the driver come in, let everybody get in their rhythm, and then compare your speed to the leader and just adjust it and get more aggressive as the day goes on.
Okay, just kind of ease into it and do the best you can, Steve. We appreciate you talking to us. Good luck.
Thanks, Andy.
My kind of thing. I think I could drive for that, man. I like that. Get braver and braver as the day goes on with the car, too. Yeah. Some great high-definition onboard views for you today from the race in Kansas. Danica Patrick has our GoDaddy on board. And Kansas Clint Boyer's got the 5-hour energy camera. Kyle Busch has our Toyota on board, and Dave, he's going to have to pass a lot of cars today.
And you're not going to believe this, Ellen. More drama for the 18 team, as this morning they were the last car out of the garage for inspection. Crew Chief Dave Rogers told me that they made so many changes to the backup car yesterday before it went on the track, they had to make sure everything was tied down. And then Kyle reported a vibration in practice. They flew in another transmission this morning, and then the plane was delayed. It got here late. They were the last ones out. Backs up against the wall. We'll see how the 18 can do, Alan.
Wow, be a big test for his championship hopes today here in Kansas, Dave. Matt Kenseth has our fresh from Florida on board. Jamie?
Well, no drama for Matt Kenseth over here. He's the guy everybody's chasing in both the points and on track. He's won the last 2 Sprint Cup Series races here at Kansas, and he won yesterday in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And I talked to his crew chief this morning, and he said they didn't unload great, but they made some key changes yesterday they feel will benefit them today with these extra cold temperatures and this new tire. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. Matt Kenseth getting ready to go from 7th starting spot. Jeff Gordon has our sprint on board. Vince?
Alan, when you run wide open for as long as they will run wide open today, that puts a lot of stress on these engines. And Gordon's crew chief, Alan Gustafson, told me today that they hope those issues don't affect their team, but he does expect some teams to have engine problems today. They certainly can't afford it on the 24 crew. They're 39 points behind in the championship standings. Alan?
Jeff, a 2-time winner at this racetrack. Brian Newman has our Coke onboard camera. And Jimmy Johnson has our Chevy on board. Doc?
Well, Alan, everyone knows Jimmy Johnson's nickname is Superman. And, folks, if you look closely enough at the onboard camera shot, you might just see his cape underneath those seatbelts. Now, we all know that Superman's weakness is kryptonite. This year, Jimmy Johnson's weakness has been Kenseth, especially on these mile-and-a-half tracks where Matt's won 4 times, the Johnson's none. Now, in the chase, 4 of the last 7 races are going to be on this type of racetrack, but today it could really set the tone. Is Johnson capable, or has he met his match in mild-mannered Matt?
Very nice. We'll find out. Jimmy Johnson lined up 3rd for this race, and our final onboard view with the Goodyear camera rides with Dale Earnhardt Jr., our ESPN in-race reporter. Invite you to check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy for enhanced race coverage today from Kansas Speedway with 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard. And And our aerial coverage for today's race comes to you from Goodyear. Everything we learned making tires that face the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Demanding and grueling, certainly fitting descriptions of this Kansas Speedway and the challenge that faces these drivers and teams for 400 miles.
Yeah, it really is going to be a challenge. These drivers really have their hands full today here. And there's nothing wrong with the racetrack, then there's nothing wrong with the tire. It's just a difficult combination between the two that makes their job extremely difficult today.
Yeah, it's been challenging for Goodyear to come up with a combination that will live here because this is one of the hardest tracks on the tire.
Saw Jimmy Johnson behind the wheel of his car a moment ago, and there you see him lined up on the inside of row 2.
All right, fellas, beautiful day for a race here at Kansas Speedway. Had a great race car, great pit selection, great starting spots. All we got to do out there is go out there and execute today. Jimmy, you guys take care of what needs to happen out there on the racetrack. Be smart, be smooth. Remember, we got to be here at the end of this thing, Jimmy. It's easy to get out there and throw it away early. We've seen it happen before.
The thoughts and the pit talk from Chad Knaus to his team, and Ethan Marquette, the rear tire carrier for Jeff Burton, is carrying our over-the-wall camera today. Ethan, have a great race down there. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
I tell them to stay warm, but they'll get pretty warm down there in those suits and helmets and all that. It's a blustery day here. Hard to believe it was 88 degrees in practice on Friday afternoon, and now it's 58 degrees as we get set to go racing.
Yeah, that's never been a great combination from the time that we started running radial tires in this Sprint Cup Series. When you put that on and you have that cold temperature, and these things really like to have some heat in them to really get the grip that the driver is looking for. So that's why the start of this race and the restarts are going to be pretty exciting.
See all those skid marks on the outside of turn 2. Yesterday's NASCAR Nationwide Series race was eventful.
Yes, it was. They painted the walls black a few times, too.
Had to repaint a lot of the logos in the grass, too.
Paint. Yeah, even in the grass.
All that was fixed up after yesterday. We'll see who the first one is to tear it up today. We heard Dale Jr. talk about building up to it and being braver and braver. You're in a race. You're going to go sailing off into turn 1 at 170-something miles an hour anyway. How do you be careful at 170?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, you just have to. You don't want to stretch those limits right off. You want to take it as easy as you can. Unfortunately for him, he's starting on the outside. He's a little concerned of what grip is going to be there after they had the nationwide race yesterday. So you want to be as careful and hope that everyone around you wants to be that, so you can get this race started on the right foot.
Mile-and-a-half track, 267 laps to make up the 400-mile distance today. The 4th race in the chase. A lot of folks saying this could turn out to be as big a wild card as Talladega. Set to go with the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas.
Trouble already.
Cars in the wall. Danica Patrick, David Ruderman, and more down in the grass. And Kyle Busch. Doesn't look like any damage to the 18 car, but might have spun down onto the apron, avoiding trouble.
There's plenty of damage on Danica Patrick's car, though.
And she really had 2 good practice sessions yesterday in the top 16 of both of those as far as the speed goes, but was really solid throughout the practices. Very unfortunate to see what exactly happened and transpired to start all this.
It'd be hard for her to make it back to the pit area when the car is damaged as it is.
Cole Witt, some damage on the 30. Yeah. That is, that's a very badly damaged race car.
Yeah, a hard lick right there.
Yeah, it looked like Danica was basically in the middle of the racetrack. You see, going into turn 1. And just made a kind of an erratic move, and the car just jumped out from under it.
Well, very similar to what happened to Kyle Busch on the first lap of practice yesterday morning, although he was able to just maybe hit the side more than the front. The car just got loose as she tried to turn down in the corner.
Still lined up outside. 3 wide middle. Still 3 middle. You all right?
up here. Ease up. Get down. Keep coming.
I'm not sure if he got maybe tapped from behind or if it's just that. No, I don't think there's nobody behind him, so that didn't happen. It's just this shows you how difficult it is with these cold tires. You try to turn the steering wheel at all, next thing you know, you're out of control.
Kyle and his brother Kurt having to start at the back of the line in backup cars after their crashes here. Yeah, that 18 just goes around.
You can see he's just starting to try to make his move to miss the accident, and the car gets away from him.
All the liquid trailing behind the 10. That was quite a shot.
It was. Yes. It was. That's a hard angle right there. She's okay, but definitely a hard lick.
So third in the championship, starting the race and starting in the back in his backup car. And for Kyle Busch, it's already been an adventurous first corner.
It just dumped sideways to the apron and just, you know, and nose first, obviously, so I'm sure it's up.
Talking about that front splitter, and that's so crucial to get sealed off to the ground aerodynamically, maybe being bent up by the car sliding from the banking down onto the flat.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you want to see happen is the way that car did come off of that for that splitter. Yeah, you really want that thing to seal down on the racetrack.
Yeah,
I think he's okay though. I'm just looking at that. I think,
yeah, see right there, you can see how it moved right there, just as he went down. If you're looking at the 18 car,
I think he's okay though. I was just watching how how the hood deflected and all of the fender bracing. I believe he'll be okay.
I have to take a look at that because that's a big part of this race car handling it all for Kyle Busch today. I don't know. I'm a little concerned that it might be up a little bit, just on that left front.
He's going to come down pit road for Dave Rogers and company to get an up-close look at it.
But you're right, Andy. Probably not as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, I thought it was
what we would think, maybe. Yes.
While Dave Rogers gets an eye on it, Dave Burns will also.
They obviously want to change the 4 tires, but because Dave Rogers shares your concern about the splitter, they want to get a good look at it while it's in this profile before the jackman sets it up in an angled position. So they take a good hard look at it. Also, an interesting thing, Kyle was having trouble communicating with them. He says, hey, what happens when I let off the radio after I'm done talking and it beeps? They said, it means your battery's dying, man. We're going to change that, too. So
left side hood flap tether, get that.
Dave Rogers making the calls for him. So they'll replace the radio that Kyle is talking on as well, presumably, during one of these stops, guys.
And Dave, that radio is down by his left knee there. So you see Kyle literally holding his helmet down so he can look down against that head and neck restraint that he wears to be able to see what he's doing with the radio and the harness.
Yeah, it's not an easy adjustment in trying to make anything to where you have to look down because it just won't allow you to get there. And it's difficult. You got gloves on and trying to do anything there. So
yeah, a lot going on. Sounds like a detail got overlooked if the battery's dead on the radio to start the race.
They got a lot of other things happening.
Do we have time to sit? No, go. Roll.
Let's go back to Dave.
You guys talked about details being overlooked. This team is as professional as they come, but they were in a hurry this morning. We talked about the transmission being late. When the car was finally ready to go, Dave Rogers said to the crew, I think it's ready. And then they spent another 5 minutes going over the car. So as good as these guys are, it would have been easy to miss something this morning in the flurry of activity.
Well, a difficult weekend so far and a difficult start to this race for Kyle Busch. After a turn 1, lap 1 crash, with contact back in the pack, Danica Patrick and others. A little bit of a mess to clean up after a turn 1, lap 1 crash. Gives us a minute before the restart to remind you that later today you can see the American Le Mans Series from Virginia International Raceway, 5:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Tonight, the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals final eliminations at 8 Eastern on ESPN2. And then next weekend, we're on to the sports hometown, Charlotte Motor Speedway Nationwide Series Friday night, 7 Eastern ESPN2. And the Bank of America 500, race 5 in the chase, next Saturday night on ABC at 7 Eastern time. Well, if people were apprehensive about that today's race might turn into a little bit of a rough and rugged go,
yeah, I'm sure they feel a lot better now.
Yeah. What happened in the first corner hasn't done anything to make them feel better. A 3-car accident involving Danica Patrick that has put us under an early halt. Jamie?
Well, we saw the replay, and Danica looked like you were running in the middle of the track at that point, and where did it go wrong?
I don't know. I knew that going into the race based on practice and everything we've seen from, everything from practice and Cup to the nationwide race that, losing grip was going to be not that hard to do. And so I said that before the race even. I said, make sure that, we're on top of who's on my door and who's behind me. And I knew that all that was going to be happening on the start. And I had enough momentum to go to the middle because I got a run on the car in front of me, but I had to wait past the start-finish line. And I lifted going into turn 1, and all I can say is that, I didn't try and do anything. I just, found myself sideways in the middle of the corner, and that was it. And it's just a shame because, it always seems to be the case. Those weekends where things start to be going better, and, I've had lots of people say you look good in practice yesterday and felt a lot better, and Gibson did a great job. The crew did a good job, and I have an awesome pit road crew. I knew we were going to have a good day there. Things just go wrong, and days where you're not fast, it seems like those aren't the days that you get the bad luck. So I don't know. If I did something wrong, I apologize to everybody on my team, but it's a shame.
Glad she's okay. Alan?
And Jamie, it was a pretty big hit down there in turn 1.
So just getting into high gear, that little momentum, little grind. Wow, I'm telling you, that thing did jump around so quickly.
Yeah, as I watched the replay from outside again a minute ago, you could see that there was a car to her outside, and as she went to turn just to keep from getting into that's when the car broke loose. And she's the driver and she's in control of that. But saying it's a mistake, it's something that you learn as a driver, and sometimes it's hard lessons. And this has probably been the most severe case that she's been in this type of situation.
Just the angle of that impact, you can see just how violent it is.
Yeah, and just you can see how well that Hans device works. That was mandated by NASCAR a number of years ago, and it certainly helps the drivers in those type of instances.
Patrick back in the garage. David Ruderman has also gone back to the garage. Cole Witt has continued after a couple of trips down the pit road, and Kyle Busch has been on pit road about every lap with his caution flag.
KB, you got a radio on me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, it's F4. You got me? Yes, sir. Got you loud and clear. Your left side splitter looks like it might be up a hair. Not bad at all.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be okay to me. And as a matter of fact, if it's up, if they can adjust to it, it'll actually be an advantage.
In what way?
Well, because if it knocked the splitter up, then they can take the packer out of the front and let it travel a little bit more. That's the direction you'd want to go. These cars have dimensions that they can't be higher or lower than. They can't even actually that splitter, the top of that splitter has a dimension that it has to be to go through tech.
Well, I wish my crew chief would have explained that to me, because as a driver, I'm thinking, oh gosh, now this is what I have to deal with. So everything that's going to be wrong with the car today is going to be because you told me that splitter was a little bit on the left front. No,
well, then I'll start working on it and tell you that, hey, it's even better than it was.
Man, I'm bad.
Well, on the initial start, Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski were in the outside lane. Harvick choosing the outside lane. Keselowski was behind him. They got clear of the inside lane to settle into first and second, and then the caution came out. So now Harvick chooses the outside lane again, and Keselowski has to start on the inside lane. We'll see if that works to the advantage of Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's going to be the first car on the outside lane.
Yeah, I was watching. Keselowski got a big run in the middle of 1 and 2 on that outside. I don't know if he can do it on the bottom or not.
I think the guy in control that's a big advantage. Plus, it gets you the arc that you need to get into the corner, not turn the wheel too much and carry the speed, just like you were talking about Brad did.
Jr. went for the bottom lane, and Menard went around him to the outside to get up to third.
It's a good racetrack for Paul Menard, and I think things that are helping them. He finished second in the nationwide race yesterday. So look for Carl Menard to have a really good, solid day here.
Yeah, talking about driving styles now, this track really doesn't pay off an aggressive style, but it does pay off that finesse, and I think that's one thing that Paul has. He can really finesse a car through the corner. I think that's why he'll run good today.
Where Carl Edwards was really struggling in that outside lane, or just being really careful, and lost about 4 spots there in that first couple laps.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is if you start trying to be careful, then there's others that aren't going to be that, and you're going to find yourself losing 3, 4, maybe 5 spots.
Brad Keselowski, Paul Menard, second and third. Brad, of course, the focus of a lot of attention after the incident between he and Kyle Busch late in yesterday's NASCAR Nationwide race, and then raising his hand this morning in the driver and crew chief meeting before the race, and asking if intentionally wrecking someone was a violation of NASCAR's 100% rule. Something to that effect, paraphrasing it.
That's about what he said. I was in the meeting, and that's pretty close, Al.
And I think maybe that was done more as getting in someone's head more than what Brad has the idea that he's going to go out here today and take Kyle Busch out for what happened yesterday. Not saying that won't happen if you get him in the right or wrong situation, but I think it was more just to send a message in case Kyle hadn't heard that Brad was pretty upset.
I think he knows.
Pablo Montoya, 42, picking up a spot on Ricky Stenhouse. And now that Carl Edwards has found his way back to the bottom lane, trying to regain a little bit of lost ground in that 99. Big race for Carl. You heard Marty Smith's essay during Countdown on the Midwest. Of course, this is Carl's home track from Columbia, Missouri. And he says that it doesn't get any bigger for me than it would be winning here.
Stenhouse there. He qualified on the pole at Atlanta, fell back some. Kind of done the same thing starting second here today, falling back. See if they can adjust this car for him today.
Kevin Harvick started on pole for the first time since 2006 in this race. He's won 3 of the last 6 times he started first. Live from Kansas City, Kansas, the 4th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Our telecast today presented by Dodge Durango. Kevin Harvick started on pole. He's led all of the laps so far. Time for unlimited access to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with NASCAR Mobile 13 and unlimited talk, text, and data on the Sprint network. Kurt Busch had a crash yesterday, started in the back with his backup car, and he's making some progress in these opening 22 laps. Get unlimited access to the NASCAR Mobile 13 app with the unlimited My Way plan, guaranteed for life and only from Sprint. See sprint.com/speed for details. Kurt was aggressive on that restart from the first lap crash.
He has been that. I think he'll find these next spots a little more difficult to find getting around him, but looks like the car's pretty decent. But a lot of other people, I believe, are just kind of hanging out, getting a feel, and see exactly what they might have here today.
Just cracked the top 20 there with that pass on Mark Martin. Next up, Clint Boyer. So 78 sure seems to have a good car in these opening laps.
Yeah, Clint Boyer's really kind of struggled most of the practice time that they've had here. Not been happy with it.
Yeah, from the time they started their test session on Thursday with this new tire, it's been one that Kurt Busch has been pretty decent, and Clint Boyer has had his hands full.
Certainly, Kurt's been aggressive in the opening laps, almost has to. One of the things we talked about was balancing that aggression against the track conditions. How much in these opening laps do you think people are just trying to feel it out? And I'll use Junior's words, be braver and braver a little bit on some laps to try and get an idea of what they can do to push these cars.
I think you're right. I think a lot of these guys are tiptoeing. And like we heard Steve Letarte say, he's setting his car up tight just to try to defend against some of the things we've seen this weekend, and I think that's what you're seeing. I think as this race goes on and we get deeper into it, and these later race restarts, you're going to see a lot more aggressiveness, and then you're going to see that it's probably not going to pay off for somebody.
Yeah, and as a driver, when you know these conditions going in, this first run, you just want to make sure that you don't take yourself out of this. You can't win this race. You can't win the championship at the start of this, but you could sure lose both of those opportunities if you get yourself in a bad position here. And the drivers that are in the chase, they understand that there's going to be some other drivers that are out there that aren't a part of the chase that might be a little more aggressive at this time of the race, and you just have to let that go. We can see
here's the 3 wide.
You're getting pretty aggressive to start with here.
How about Jimmy? You got a 2-for-1
opportunity.
Take advantage where you can. They got side by side. Goodbye. So Jimmy Johnson up to third in these opening laps. Now, while we talk about getting braver and braver with the car, a lot of crew chiefs down there wondering what the tire wear is going to be like under these conditions today after the nationwide race yesterday and so on, and whether or not they'll go a full fuel run before they begin to see things get a little concerning.
That right side tire, they designed that inner part of the right side tire on this multi-zone tread technology to be a little bit tougher and also to wear a little bit, to handle some of the heat and the issues they've had here on this new asphalt. And it's doing its job, but it's wearing at a pretty high rate. And I think a lot of crew chiefs are worried about just that, Alan, making a full gas run. The one thing they did say, I talked to Steve Letard about this, he said it does give you some warning when that tire does wear out. They will have a little bit of warning. It won't just fail immediately. The driver will get a feel for it and be able to get it to pit road.
Hard about to lose a spot there. Joey Logano moving forward, 22. Expect Joey to be pretty solid today. He's been really good on these mile-and-a-half layouts. Remember, he had that great run going at Chicagoland to open the chase and then had the engine failure, which, of course, set his championship in a big hole. And there's Matt Kenseth running 7th. Winner of the last 2 races at this track. Winner of 4 times this year on the mile-and-a-half speedways. And right now, just riding it out in the top 10 in the early going, Doc.
Yeah, when we visited with Matt prior to the race, he seemed very nervous, unnormally so. He's normally very patient and relaxed. He seemed nervous before getting in the car. Let's listen into his radio.
It's unpredictable loose-on accident, especially in dirty air. Balance good. I'm just a little loose in, loose off. I just feel like there's nothing to lean on right now.
So Matt is just saying basically there is no grip out here. He said, and the car is unpredictable. And he's having to be very patient and basically take his time until we can get some more rubber down and maybe get some temperature in the racetrack.
Matt Kenseth's style over the course of time has really been to kind of, bide his time, wait to the end of the race. But lately we've seen him be very aggressive and try to lead a lot of laps. But I think you're going to see a little bit of the old Matt Kenseth today because he knows just how twitchy these cars are, and I don't think he's going to make a big charge to the front yet.
Yeah, the biggest concern the drivers have, and I talked to them, is that with the temperatures, everything, the whole combination made it a situation. Matt talked about not knowing exactly what he had, and that's their concern, is whenever it goes, it snaps from them, and they don't have the chance to recover from that. A lot of times, they have a tire and track combination that they can recover from if the car gets out from under them just a little bit. But that's not the situation that they have here today, and that's what concerns them the most.
In some lap traffic, 3rd place. Brad Keselowski, 2, giving it up to Dale Jr.
Really impressed with Dale Jr. and this race team in this chase as it started. It was pointed out in the pre-race show that if Junior doesn't have that engine problem, they've been solid in all 3 races, the way that they've run and how competitive they've been, putting themselves in a chance to win. And that's what they have to keep doing to go to victory lane.
Menard continuing to slide back. Kenseth now picking up in 6th position. Back to Junior for a second. Dover last week. Some folks want to look at it as a downer. He had a chance to win the race and didn't. Some folks want to look at it as a positive thing. Look how well they ran. They had a chance to win, and they finished 2nd to Superman. Yep. How do you view what happened last Sunday at Dover to the 88?
Oh, I'd have to say a huge positive. I mean, they did a great job. They ran fast. They got the pole. They were in contention to win a race. You try not to make mistakes. Things happen. They rebounded from that. And that's what I took from that they rebounded from Junior missing pit road that time, came back and gave themselves an opportunity in the last 25 laps to win. They just ran up against the very best of all time at Dover.
Yeah,
Johnson beat them.
Sometimes you just get beat.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in getting beat to Jimmy Johnson at Dover.
Well, Junior in position to try and contend for the win again today, running 3rd right now behind the previously mentioned Jimmy Johnson and the race leader Kevin Harvick. 50 miles in to the 400-miler today at Kansas Speedway. couple interesting developments in the last couple of moments here at Kansas Speedway in race 4 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Kevin Harvick's lead is shrinking. Jimmy Johnson is closing in on him from second. There it is. Johnson, after getting around Dale Jr. and Brad Keselowski to move up to second, is beginning to track down the man who's led all the laps so far. Other development, Brad Keselowski, I just mentioned being passed, was on pit road under the green flag a moment ago. And caution is coming out. Got a car off the pace, turn 3. Michael McDowell. Does he have a tire down?
Sure looks like it. Looks like he's got a tire down, possibly into the wall a little bit. Maybe just the tire down.
Well, we'll follow up there. Right side looks clean on McDowell, so we'll check on that in a minute. Back to the Brad Keselowski story. Jamie?
Well, he warned his team, guys, I think I have a right rear flat. Be ready, I'm coming in. Well, he came in. This is the tire, the right rear that came off. It looks fine. All 4 tires, as a matter of fact, look fine. And I just asked his crew chief, Paul Wolf. He came off the box and said, we're all good, gave the thumbs up. We even had other teams coming down to check out the tires. So all is good. So what Brad was feeling in the car may have been something else.
Yeah, I think these guys have been really apprehensive about this tire wear, and as soon as he felt something he didn't like, he came down pit road just so he wouldn't have an issue that got worse. And this time he missed it. I guess that he was just getting loose, and there's nothing wrong with the tire.
Well, he's going to have the chance to stay out here and take a wave around to try and get back on the lead lap because the caution came out. Michael McDowell, it doesn't look like he hit the wall, but that's not right.
Yeah, he probably had it looks like a brake line or maybe a seal in the caliper. That's brake fluid that's caught fire on the rotor.
And he was stuck up in the outside lane trying to move left to get to pit road, and there was just a continuous line of cars coming by him, and the speed differential between what McDowell was doing and the other cars was kind of an unsafe situation.
Yeah, it was just never going to be a time because the cars were spread out so much that at his speed he wasn't going to be able to get down. And so that was the only way to get him off of the racetrack and create a further problem.
So first round of pit stops here. Recent times I'd have been asking you how many people are going to do 2 tires.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that here. People are really worried about tire wear.
Here they all come. Doc?
Jimmy Johnson said the car started off a little bit sketchy, then got snug in the center, and late in the run was starting to get free off. Got to expect they're going to do 4 tires. They were just 4 laps away from a full fuel run. Chassis adjustment, no, right sides only. Vince.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. says it's a little loose on throttle, expecting to make a 4-tire change with an air pressure adjustment. Now on the upper right-hand part of your screen, Joey Logano said he felt a vibration in the late stages of that stop. They also are going to make an air pressure adjustment. Just 2 tires for Jr. They're going to make a 4-tire stop for Logano, and your leader, Kevin Harvick, is down and away as well. 2 tires, a little loose in traffic for the 29.
Way more 2 tires than I thought we'd see.
Goodness, I'm shocked.
It's going to be interesting here.
7 there, just right side tires. Follow up on the tires that came off the cars and what more it might mean as we get ready for a restart after the first caution today at Kansas. Aerial coverage for today's race provided by Goodyear. Everything we learn making tires that face the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Very tough and tricky Kansas Speedway. Going to be a big challenge today in the 4th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Our telecast presented by Dodge Durango, wrapping up the first caution of the race when Michael McDowell slowed with a problem on his car and couldn't get to the inside. And NASCAR put out the caution to allow him to get off the track. He has taken that 98 car to the garage. 2 tire stops. For the front 7, Matt Kenseth is going to be the first with 4 tires, restarting in 8th place. And let's check with Vince.
Up and down pit lane, checking on the tires. Some having a little more issue than others. You're looking at the 22. That's Joey Logano. A little bit of cording on the right front. And this literally is what comes off the tire. You can see it really is a cord, Alan.
I just realized
Yeah, that's what we're worried about. See, that was not a full gas run, so crew chiefs are still going to be concerned here.
Brad Keselowski back on the lead lap with a wave around. Martin Truex speeding on pit road from 15th to the back of the line.